Okay, this is from the Phoenix Rising person. Okay, so this person that we're going over today is fucking crazy. Phoenix Rising.
I love when I'm called crazy by white men I've criticized. It's my favorite kind of tongue policing. Totally doesn't make me want to see my Marvel wife run them through with her spear. Not at all.
87. They have 2,000 subs. They have literally been in my comment section, commenting on every video I've made about how I'm not a good enough lefty and like spamming me and shit.
I've never done that. I've criticized things you've said and done, but I personally am not interested in judging who is and isn't a good enough leftist. I just don't think everything a lot of bigger leftist channels do is particularly helpful, and that is my prerogative.
And like spamming like negative comments and like getting in arguments with people in my comment section for like fucking months now.
Go suck a dick, suck a dick, suck a motherfucking dick, suck a dick, suck a huge or small dick.
People in your comment section have attacked me for being critical of RedTube, with at least one person accusing me of being on the CIA's payroll, which, in point of fact, I had to move back in with my parents, am dirt poor, disabled, and currently nursing a broken ankle back to health, and I need to rely on disability assistance, food stamps, tutoring, and about $50 a month on Patreon just to get by, but thanks for asking. Please don't accuse me of being the aggressor. I'm the one getting my head bitten off for some light criticisms.
I'm surprised. Is this from a live stream? I don't know. They're a woke scold and they're fucking crazy, but we'll see what we can get from this. I'll turn it up to like 1.5 speed and see what this is. Okay.
It's really important if you want to win a culture war.
Wait, why are they speeding up my clip and now I'm speeding myself up?
You want to have your political movement succeed?
Why are they doing this to my voice? The fuck?
It amuses me. And it's a good way to avoid getting false DMCAs on my videos, but mostly because it amuses me.
Alright, if we're gonna do that, I'm just gonna turn it up to 175. So basically, they've played a clip of me that is extremely true. Utilizing an edgy sense of humor is important to bringing young people who are appealed to by that kind of stuff into leftism. Yeah, good point. True. And then they respond with just cool story, bro. Let's see what their response to this is.
Personally, I'll say that was a PW impression. But more importantly, I'm curious as to where you're going with this. Your video is entitled, Why the Left Needs Edgy Creators and Why Woke Schools Are Bad. And yes, that title does hurt to say. I think something I should start off by pointing out is that leftism is not a movement. Left-wing politics cover...
Okay, BreadTube is a movement. Leftist ideology is an ideology. We are opposed to fascism, we are opposed to capitalism, we advocate for the liberation of the working class. When I talk about leftism as a movement, I'm mostly referring to the idea of getting people into leftism, and more broadly, BreadTube, or just online political activism.
Exactly, which raises the question of why BreadTube gets treated by the end-all be-all by so many people. There is a whole world out there bigger than YouTube, bigger than the internet. People need a living wage. They need healthcare, food, clean drinking water, and shelter. They need to be reminded that the government, if it must exist, needs to work for us. We don't work for them. People need community care, they need education, they need to be reminded that people need each other. Praxis is more needed than theory. I certainly don't want to dismiss the importance of online activism. Hell, I just started a new public Facebook page specifically meant to boost mutual aid needs. Moreover, the internet, especially in the age of social media, helps activists connect with others more effectively than ever before. That being said, we don't need another dozen videos navel-gazing about social capital or yelling at some fascist clown who destroyed an entire political party.
Most people in the United States, when polled, lean toward left-wing ideas. They don't need to be indoctrinated. We just need to have these ideas put into place. Proceed.
Wait, hold on. Left-leaning ideas is like lib shit, right? We don't want more people leaning towards lib shit stuff. Obviously, if people are leaning into being lib shits, it's better than leaning into being like a fascist, and that's a good gateway to leftism. But
when I talk about people being in favor of left-wing ideas when polled, I'm talking about this, and this, and this, and this. You might call that live shit, but if implemented, these are things that would vastly improve people's lives in the US.
I think we can all agree it's probably best if they're radicalized by the left and not by the right. This just seems like common sense to me.
Wait, is Phoenix Rising actually like a fascist or a Nazi or something?
Yes, Phoenix, the crippled, black, non-binary lesbian, is a Nazi. Can someone please give this brat a wedgie? Just really, really hard.
What are you even talking about? You do know that Gen Z isn't just white, straight, cisgender people, right? I can only speak for myself, as a millennial. My current political ideology wasn't based on optics, edgy humor, whatever it is you're arguing for. It was based on having a basic set of principles, educating myself, and always allowing myself room to grow.
Good for you, Phoenix Rising. Good for you. I'm so glad that you were always perfect and you always had an impeccable steel wall that you formed your opinions around, and you never were influenced by any popular creators or
Optics or anything like that. But guess what? That's not everybody. In fact, it's not most people. I mean, I guess you're like a special snowflake whose opinions can't be changed or influenced by outside forces. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Hey, maybe if you would let me speak, you would have heard that I admitted that I can only speak for myself.
However, no. Most people, especially young people, are looking for a few things. They're looking for an ideology to follow and to be a part of, because they want a community. They want to feel like they have people to talk to, people to fall back on, camaraderie. Young people want camaraderie, and they want to be independent from their parents and their family and whatnot. They want to be their own people.
Yes, I agree with that. Again, community care is important, but BreadTube is not the end-all be-all of that. I've been dealing with a lot of personal shit for years, and I'm just now finding a community of people I can find fellowship and healing with. And I use my social media presence, it's my best option as a penniless cripple, to try building connections with people and giving them spaces to feel safe. Hell, a lot of the bad shit that's come out about certain BreadTubers was especially hard for me to handle because a number of them I used to consider friends. I had to distance myself from that so I could build spaces for people to feel safe, so people could trust me.
And so right now, we're also seeing an entire generation of people who are coming out into the world, and they're finding out that late-stage capitalism isn't working for anybody, really. Schooling is becoming more expensive, and the value of a diploma, or of even of a degree, is getting lower. We are seeing record amounts of record suicide rates among all sorts of demographics, which is mostly you can obviously trace that back to people, especially young people, feeling more isolated and alone and miserable than ever. This could be due to technology, could be due to lack of social interaction, which can be traced back to a variety of things. And when you bring out all of these issues that young people and just people in general in the working class are facing nowadays, we can look at it and we can acknowledge a few solutions to these things. Leftists provide a solution, a group of solutions. The reason why you feel so alone and isolated, or you have like high suicide rates as men, that's due to toxic masculinity. Why do men have such high suicide rates? Why do they feel so alone and ostracized? Well, it's because of toxic masculinity and expectations from society about men. Cool. Why are we experiencing so much issues with money and with schooling and whatnot? Well, it's because the capitalist ruling class exploits the working class, and through this, they are replacing jobs that require less of an education with automation. And so we're now seeing more people requiring a college degree in order to get a decent job that pays a living wage. However, we're also seeing the price of getting a college degree going up while the value of it is going down. Capitalism. It's the two things you blame. Toxic, the patriarchy and capitalism. That is what leftism presents as the solutions or the culprits to most of these problems. Now,
and herein lies the problem. It's not enough to just know that X, Y, and Z things are because toxic masculinity or because capitalism. While it is valuable to understand these things to an extent beyond the platitudes of human nature and how life is unfair, it's necessary to provide people with communities and support so they can actually deal with them.
Fascism is also it's reaching out to these people through a variety of ways, mostly through the alt-right rabbit hole. And fascism says, oh no, it's not capitalism, it's brown people. The free market is great, but we got to get rid of all the brown people first. They're immigrating here and they're taking our jobs and so on and so on. And they're diluting the white race and they want to make they want to white genocide, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you feel isolated and alone and you can't get a girlfriend, it's not because of toxic masculinity and expectations from society about men. No, it's actually women. Women are bad, blah blah blah. Like,
Again, understanding the problem doesn't necessarily give us the solution right away. Let me compare this to something I've experienced personally. Well, two things I've experienced personally: mental illness and neurodivergence. As it is, I understand why I've had problems managing my mood and stress levels, a chemical imbalance in my brain combined with poor quality of life over an extended period of time. I understand why I've dealt with odd sensory issues and hyperfixations that have impacted me throughout my life. I have autism that was undiagnosed in childhood due to me slipping through the cracks. As long as my grades were good and I had no real behavioral problems, I was considered perfectly normal. All that being said, knowing was only half the battle. I still needed to go through life being ill and neurodivergent, so I sought out things to make that easier. Talk therapy, getting on medication, seeking social support, and developing coping skills to help with the former, while sensory positive clothing, finding outlets for my special interests, and finding ways to deal with my odd sensory needs, like stim toys and noise-canceling headphones, for example, helped with the latter. Similarly, we need to provide people with what they need to get through a world infected by capitalism and toxic masculinity. Capitalism isn't going to collapse overnight, but people still need to be able to pay their rent, put food on the table, and keep a roof over their heads. Toxic masculinity still permeates every aspect of our society, but boys need to feel safe talking about things they're going through, such as loneliness and stress. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I'm saying we need to do more than just name the problem.
these are too toxic, or these issues are all very toxic for young people, and they deal with it every day. Now, and there's two sides, two extremes they can lean towards. I want young people to lean towards leftism. I want them to gain class consciousness. I want them to become leftists. More of us. I want them to be like us. I want them to vote for left-leaning candidates. I don't want them to vote for Trump. I don't want young people to be inundated with videos of crazy SJWs throwing fucking garbage cans around, destroying cars and shit like that, and going crazy and not making any good arguments for our side. I want them instead to be inundated with arguments that you hear from people like me, or Vosh, or ContraPoints, or H Bomber Guy, or Philosophy Tube, or Sean and Jen, or Three Arrows, who make or for me and Vosh and ContraPoints, who appeal to young people with an edgy sense of humor, who enjoy performative cruelty and being sort of like loud and excitable and animated and whatnot, the things that attract young people. So you get them in with that, you kind of hook them in with that. But
Again, you're not giving young people enough credit. Yes, we should definitely be doing what we can to help them and other vulnerable people understand the problems of capitalism and patriarchy, but BreadTube is not needed to do that. There were leftists before BreadTube, including young leftists, and there still will be after it. That's a big part of why we need community care and not the stand culture that BreadTube has given us.
Then your arguments, the arguments that I'm making, I feel make quite a bit of sense. I feel like I do a good job of substantiating my arguments. For example, when it comes to trans rights, I am able to bring up a fucking document. I can go to Vosh's website right now and type in the chat. I usually have it saved and open like on the side, but I'll bring this up right now. If I want to argue with a reactionary or prove to somebody who's watching me that trans people are valid, I can just go to fucking this document and I can bring up fucking dozens of studies, an unlimited amount of sources to support my claim. Most people on the left online aren't able to do this. Instead, they use buzzwords or what people perceive as buzzwords, and they use arguments that appear to be based in feelings. And you know how it's a meme among Zoomers. Haha, facts don't care about your feelings. So
I made this point in a bit of a different way in my original video that you didn't respond to, conveniently enough, but trans creators who aren't Natalie/ContraPoints literally make videos about our existence, debunking TERFs and true scum all the time, but heaven forbid we get the credit, right? Way to go, trans ally! As many problems as I have with Lily Orchard these days, I do agree with her on that. We as trans people don't owe anyone an explanation for who we are, and our identities are not up for debate.
I want young people to be exposed to this kind of shit, not this sort of like eat your own woke scold cringe bullshit that you see coming from the left. Like, God, have you seen how the Nazis talk about the woke scolds? They don't talk about them like I talk about them or how Vosh talks about them. When you scroll through 4chan or you scroll through like Kiwi Farms or something, they love it. They love you guys. Like you woke scold types who like cancel ContraPoints and like go after leftist creators and whatnot. They love you guys. They love that you guys hold back the left. They see you guys as, well, you don't see them as a ally. They see you guys as an ally. I hate to say it. You may not agree with them, but they see you guys as an ally.
Who cares? No, really, who gives a shit? I have to seriously doubt the validity of that statement, but even if it were true, that doesn't make the criticisms of BreadTube invalid. It's like when anti-vegans say, Hitler was a vegan, like it actually means anything. Neo-Nazis are probably enthusiastic that I don't want to have children. That doesn't make me want to have children anymore, surprisingly enough. Also, this really does come off like the cringy, we're eating our own bullshit that permeated the vegan movement back when assholes like Freely, Gary Yourofsky, and Vegan Gains talked shit and rightly got backlash for it. I can't believe I have to say this to people who pretend to be concerned about justice, but being called out for things you've done does not make you the victim, and trying to vilify the people criticizing you to badger them into silence just makes you look like a coward.
People that, okay, they're gonna get mad, they're gonna clip this, it, guys. When I see woke scolds, okay? When I see these woke scolds on Twitter saying things like this, I feel like dudes like this just took their toxicity to a different side. They didn't change at all, they just came over to the left, and I responded, yeah, that's the point, it's a good thing. She responded, no, it isn't, the left doesn't need the toxicity or the slurs or all the people memeing close to the sun bullshit. Okay.
So, what slurs? Like, this happens very very often, where, like, I get accused, also, rip this Twitter account that I had here. Oh, I missed that, Pig Puncher 1. That was a good account, and almost got 1,000 followers before it got banned.
Yeah, no. Why do they say that I'm constantly throwing slurs around? This just doesn't happen. Like, I don't do that. They just say that I do, and whenever I ask them any examples, and they don't do it. They can never provide any. There's just no examples of me saying slurs. Usually what they'll say is that it's cunt, because at that time I was calling people cunts, and they said, you're calling people cunts, that's a misogynistic slur. That's the only example that they have. I don't say the N-word. I don't drop the R slur all the time. That's just not what I do. I just don't do that. It just isn't true.
I love how you go off on a tangent like I'm the one who accused you of that and not this random person on Twitter. Also, how do you not see performative cruelty as part of the problem? I can be pretty harsh when I'm responding to right-wingers, sure, but what's to be gained from performative cruelty? Just some dick measuring contests? Get over yourself, maybe?
Christ, let's continue.
Needs is obviously more people. I've already said this before, political movements need people to survive, but you can't make it a bar, you can't bar the entry into your political movement to the point of like saying, no, you can't say this, or you can't say that, alright? Or you can't act a certain way. You can't do that and expect your political movement to succeed. You just can't.
You are fired from breathing! Please, pack up your desk and kindly leave!
Wait, is this
woke scold unironically using a Doug Walker clip at me right now? Did this woke scold actually just use a Doug Walker clip at me? Is that what just happened? Is that what I just witnessed? If you know anything about Doug Walker, you would know why this is so hilariously ironic. Because Doug Walker is like a top tier piece of shit and a reactionary. I'm pretty sure he's like collaborated with the Quartering and shit like that. Like his comment videos are basically just like Saturday Night Live tier or not like a Netflix comedian on stage bitching about cancel culture level of chuttiness. So it's actually really ironic to me that she's using a fucking Doug Walker clip. Whew.
What can I say? White neckbeards make good anger translators. Also, calling me out for using less than 10-second clip of the Nostalgia Critic is laughable coming from a guy who kisses up to Shoe-on-Head and Hunter Avalon. Breadtubers have many wonderful standards, meant for people who aren't breadtubers. And that's not even mentioning how your antipathy toward people who Peter Coffin and ContraPoints have made feel unsafe, how that reeks of the Doug Walker attitude of, I'm sorry you feel that way, that set off the Change the Channel movement last year. But sure, rant at me for using a clip from one of his old reviews.
Live! You know, call me what you will, a woke school, SJW, whatever, but I don't think don't be a dick is that bad a bar to entry. Yes, don't use ableist slurs. If you misgender someone accidentally, correct yourself, apologize, and do better.
No one's arguing against this. Yes, don't use ableist slurs. Cool. Alright, I can agree with that. If you misgender somebody, apologize for it. Okay, cool. I can agree with that. Nothing wrong with any of that. Nothing that you've listed here is any of my arguments.
Now, being a dick? You really think that being a dick is where you guys hold the bar of entry? No. Most of you woke skull types are fucking assholes. Most of you guys have, like, abusive personalities. Look at fucking Essence of Thought's tweets towards me these last fucking hours. Essence of Thought being like, huh, I would wipe the floor with you, kid. Like, shit like that. Or calling me like a stupid cis white boy and stuff like that. No. Don't lie and say that you're not, to be on the left, you shouldn't.
Big talk coming from someone who doesn't even care that the whole point of Ethel's video, series, was to make points about how Contra is making non-binary people, including Ethel themselves, feel unsafe. From my perspective, you care more about white knighting for Natalie than you do about smaller trans creators feeling safe, but yet you have the gall to call yourself an ally.
Be a dick. You guys are fucking assholes. Don't even pretend. Come on now.
Also, Christ, my guy, you don't even know me. How am I, the person you're responding to right now, being an asshole? All I've asked for here in the comments of any of your videos is for you and your fans to stop treating criticism like personal attacks. I didn't realize that made me a terrible person.
And when you get called on something, fix it and do better. I don't see why we have grown adults who act like this is some big ask of them. Folks, we're taught this shit in kindergarten.
I can't even understand what she said there. Her volume is so low. Phoenix Rising, if you watch this, please turn up your volume. It's so difficult to hear you.
Well, genius. Maybe if you didn't speed through everything I said, you'd be able to understand. Remind me again how bad it is to argue in bad faith. I've got a feeling that you lack the self-awareness to realize you do that quite often.
Extremely offended by certain mannerisms or certain words being used. Your political movement's just gonna fail. It's not gonna work. Young people aren't going to stop saying slurs and just hop right on board with your political movement if you're gonna set a bar for entry like that. You have.
So this is the whole idea. How do we get racial? So why is it that most leftists who are ex-reactionaries don't use racial slurs and make ableist jokes and whatnot anymore? Most ex-reactionary leftists don't seem to do that anymore. At least when I go into my Discord and I see them talking, all right? That tends to be the trend. Why don't they say that anymore? Do you think it's because when they first started to get into leftism, they were like, the entry for them was barred and they were told, no, you can't say these words. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you say these words, you're not welcome here. No, that's not what happened. They got into people like Destiny, or they got into people like Vosh or me, and they got into social spaces where those things weren't acceptable socially. And because of peer pressure and just being in those social spaces, they stopped saying those things. In the same way that someone who doesn't say those things to begin with gets into like a really edgy gamer social space or like Discord server where everyone's saying the N-word all the time and everyone's saying these slurs and making these jokes all the time. And then because of social pressure and peer pressure and whatnot, they start to have those ideas normalized and then they start saying those things themselves. This is very common.
That's nice, I suppose. Anecdotes aren't evidence of anything. And my whole point, which you'd get to if you stopped cutting my video off when I'm about to make it, is that it's important to make people feel safe in our online communities. Therefore, if you're asked to use trigger warnings to things you post, you should do it. If you're asked not to use certain slurs, don't do it. That's what being an ally actually is. It's not about you partaking in some self-indulgent ego trip and to hell with all the ingrates who call you out.
Basically, I mean, I would think this is common sense. It's basic sociology.
Sweet Jesus.
You really want to come at me with basic sociology? Is that what we're doing now? Okay, look, edgy gamer spaces are one thing, but I thought our goal was to elevate the discourse and create spaces where marginalized people could feel safe. There's no underlying threat to asking people in certain spaces to avoid using slurs. Just don't do it, and if you do, correct yourself and do better. That's all people ask.
Vegan community gaslighting all over again. Look, if you don't want people to call you out on doing shit that offends them, stop doing it. This is really not that hard. I'm sorry, like, if something that I say isn't wrong and it offends you, I don't know what to say. I mean, me dunking on Nazis offends Nazis. There's nothing wrong with offending people. I know this is like a chud thing, like talking about, snowflakes getting offended at everything. No.
You serious?
Well, thanks again for cutting me off with that completely irrelevant comment. Asking people to consider marginalized people in leftist spaces is hardly the same as kissing up to Nazis. If you don't like that you're being called out, do better.
Offending people isn't a problem. It's the actual effect and the content of what you're saying that is the problem. I love offending Nazis.
I love offending reactionaries. It's funny. They react in a very, very triggered way, ironically enough, even though they're the ones that call the left triggered all the time. However, if I'm saying something that is true, where my methods are effective, and they are, there's a reason why, like, the woke scold types are fucking tiny in comparison to, like, the larger people. Me and Vosh have, like, blown up on YouTube, like, an unprecedented amount, especially for being, like, lefty channels.
You continue to poison the well with this completely irrelevant point about offending reactionaries. I don't play nice with reactionaries. Most of the leftists on YouTube I'm friends with don't play nice with reactionaries. There's a world of difference between calling out transphobes and climate change deniers with a take no prisoners attitude, and actively, stubbornly not giving a shit if you're causing non-binary folks and people of color to feel unsafe in leftist spaces.
Like, but you people have, like, the tiniest little channels, and you have, like, your little Discord and Twitter groups where you just kind of jack each other off about how woke you are. But then, in actual situations, when it comes to, like, de-radicalizing people and bringing people out from the right, it's just not effective. You can't do it. Like, it just doesn't work. You guys look cringy. You guys are bad optics.
Oh, you people. Oh, that's lovely. Look, twerp. I've been at this shit for years. I have, Kevin Logan has, Danny Discourse has, Brocialist has. We've been making leftist content, getting slandered and endlessly attacked by fascists, racists, misogynists, and every other kind of human filth imaginable. Do we have a lot of subscribers to show for it? Maybe not. I just cracked 2K last year. But we've stuck it out. We haven't backed down. Kevin just got his channel flagged down by the alt-right for the umpteenth time, and he's still at it. Did you know why we stick around? Because we care. We keep coming back no matter what these shitlords throw at us, because that, not popularity, is what justice is all about. That got a little weird, I apologize.
Listen, my ideal future is for everybody to be a leftist and to be as sensitive and as woke as you guys. That's my dream. That is my end goal. However,
You'll have to excuse me for living in the real world, wherein, again, most people polled do lean toward left-wing ideas. People want people who need to see a doctor to be able to, for workers to earn enough to live on, to make a safer, more just, and more humane world. For now, people need resources. We need community care. That's what I'm trying to do with my new page. Is it going to make much of a difference? I don't know, but I hope it does. I'd much rather put effort into helping people survive and feel safe than try to deconvert fascists. Which would be a fool's errand for me anyway, because we all know why.
we aren't in that preferred future. So for now, at the very least, you're gonna have to suck it up. You're gonna have to accept that there's edgy people on the left that are effective, that are bringing people to the left. You're gonna have to suck it up, accept that we're here, and let us do our work. Let us bring edgy gamer bros that like to say the N-word into the left, and after a couple weeks, get them to be ooh trans rights, hashtag cuddle gang, fucking pig crews on Twitter, alright? I'm essentially, when you really think...
So, let me get this straight. People who have issues with BreadTube are supposed to suck it up and not voice these issues because it makes us seem divisive? Now, where have I heard that before?
A few months back, where we pretty much introduced most of you guys to Vegan Games. He was pretty much an unknown at the time. His channel was brand new, he had just a couple hundred subscribers, but Angie and I saw something there. We really thought he had the complete package there to become a really popular and successful YouTuber, which he has since become, as I'll soon talk about. But in the comments of that video of ours, we got a lot of hate, a lot of people just bagging on Vegan Games for being just a bully. He gives vegans a bad name, he's just an overall bad person, and furthermore, Angie and I are bad people for supporting Vegan Gains. So that's what I would like to address here. Do we support Vegan Gains? What are my exact thoughts about him and his channel? Alright, Vegan Gains will never win any awards for being the most loving, hippy-dippy, chill, relaxed vegan YouTuber out there. That's not his thing.
This is why people need to be forced into veganism, because everyone just acts like a stupid, ignorant, apathetic, greedy child.
Here's a little tip, guys. If you want success on YouTube, it's all about knowing your demographic. Yeah, there's a little bit of marketing involved. Like, say, for instance, Fully Rocker Jeans, he hits his demographic that is huge, but hasn't really been exploited yet on YouTube. That is combining the worlds of vegan along with bodybuilding. As we know, bodybuilders, as you see from his videos when he does the his series, The Worst of the Fitness Industries, these bodybuilders, usually a bunch of, drug-taking meat eaters. So Richard gets to speak to people who'll just be hearing that message of unhealthy living. We've gotten lots of hateful comments from people who have been hating earlier a few months ago on Durin Rider and Freely during that whole Kaylee Science trial.
Well, I think even before then we were getting it.
In particular, it's really ramped up with our 2 vegan gains videos. We've got lots of comments, which unfortunately I've deleted because they contain so much foul language. I banned these guys. Anyway, comments hating on Richard, Vegan Gains, because he supposedly expresses so much hate in his videos, so these people hate him, and furthermore, they're hating on us here because we don't hate Vegan Gains for being so hateful.
Yeah.
And I just had to oh my god,
So wait, so let me get this straight. So you're against hate or you're for hate?
confusing.
It sounds a lot to me like you're really into hate because you hate us because we don't hate Vegan Gains, who you do hate because he hates other people. That is kind of schizophrenic. That's like a catch-22. You can't fight hate with more hate. I mean, we say it all the time, but hating on our fellow vegan content creators because of the way they spread the vegan message doesn't really seem productive.
Yeah, just because they spread it in a way that's different from how you personally would spread it, that's no reason to hate them. They're still spreading a vegan message. Yeah,
we get so many people criticizing us for, quote-unquote, supporting people that are, doing harm to the vegan community, but, certain people are getting a lot of views.
Doesn't make them right, but still hating on them for being different, from seeing things and speaking things different from you, it makes no sense.
Or saying that someone's bigoted but then expressing it in such a bigoted manner, it's silly. So if you don't like the way that someone is doing a vegan show, whether it's us or the people that we mentioned or someone else we didn't even mention, like Gary Roski, why don't you take all that energy instead of wasting it making comments all over the internet about what horrible people we all are?
Yeah.
Why don't you start up a vegan channel and spread the vegan message in the way that you feel is most loving and is going to reach the widest audience?
So then we bring them out, and who knows? In a couple years, they're probably going to be the woke scold type because of how lefty they'll be. So in a way, you should see us as your ally, or you should just see us as your ally. I don't know. I mean,
Not how allyship works, but whatever.
If you like to pretend you care about justice and making the world a less shitty place, it shouldn't be a big deal. It'll start with yourself.
Have to be able to
wait, what words am I not allowed to say?
Just making the world a less shitty place, it shouldn't be a big deal. It'll start with yourself.
All right.
10 easy alternatives to common ableist language. Say unreal instead of insane, unbelievable instead of crazy, jerk instead of psycho, awful instead of stupid, bad instead of dumb, moody instead of bipolar, ridiculous instead of retarded, eccentric instead of mental case, dismantled instead of crippled, unruly instead of madhouse. Well, I only say 4 of these words. Insane, crazy, psycho, stupid, dumb. These are the only words I say here. I'm sorry, but no. I also use bad, awful, jerk, and unbelievable and unreal. These aren't synonymous words. I apologize, but no. I really I love this. I really love this image. This image encapsulates my
Entire point. It really is. This encapsulates my entire point. Imagine you're just some edgy gamer bro who's mostly a centrist and leaning towards a side, walks down the street and sees this image right here. This is so cringy. If you're not already bought into the woke shit, ableism is bad. If you're not already bought in to ableism is bad, this is going to pull you further to the right. This is going to make you fucking cringe a lot if you're already sort of a reactionary or a centrist. I'm sorry, but this is bad praxis. This is bad praxis. This is a bad practical application of theory. This is not a practical application of theory. I'm sorry. I agree with the message. I agree with it. I do think ableism is bad.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
I like how you respond to this as if it's a point I made and not just an anti-ableist chart I use as an easy visual aid. Personally, I, as a disabled person, have no qualms about reclaiming the word crippled for myself. The main point of that chart is, again, that it's not hard to avoid being ableist. Again, who's the one arguing in bad faith here?
Show young, edgy people, mostly straight, white, angry male gamer bros, which I know you hate them, you think they're subhuman. I know, I've seen how these woke scholars talk, okay?
No, actually, some edgy white gamer bros grow out of it. It's like bullies I knew growing up. Some of them stayed shitty people forever, but a lot of them grew up and became decent, humble people trying to survive the world like everyone else. I think people can change, but they don't change if you...
You may believe this, and I'm glad you believe this, but I'm sorry. Most of the woke scolds that I see, like on Twitter and whatnot, which, I mean, that's the... I know that's anecdotal, but that's the only place I can get this from. There's no data. Like, there's no... like studies and data specifically about how many woke scolds there are. You have to go off of your own interactions, all right?
Well, you condescending little shit. There are about as many woke scolds as there are SJWs. But thanks for interrupting my point with some little odd tangent.
And whatnot. Also, come on, Shoonhead isn't a reactionary anymore. She's gotten bread pilled. Like, I actually wanna point something out. Imagine putting Shoonhead on the same screen as like Teal Deer and what is this, Bearing, female Bearing, The Quartering, and like Tucker Carlson and Milo Yiannopoulos and Blair White and whatnot. Imagine putting her on the same stage as these people. And like, what is that? Count Dankula, is that David Cullen? I can't see through the text there. Sargon, like, come on now. Lacey Green is kind of iffy still. I don't know what she's doing nowadays. She might be a TERF. I don't know. I think she...
It's amusing how you're so nice and coddling toward June, who, like many of the little shits in that collage, built her channel on bigotry and only expects to be treated with kid gloves because she's given weak apologies and pretended to learn her lesson. Over and over and over and over again. It's amusing because you're a lot more charitable toward her than you are to trans people like me, Liability Lefty, and Essence of Thought, who are critical of you, your friends, and your faves. This is a woman who owes her career to Gamergate, and has made videos pushing fat phobia, mocking serious issues like pay inequity and sexual violence, and made a video with the baboon she's marrying where she called a black actress, who at the time was being inundated with endless harassment for her horrible crime of being in a movie that hadn't even come out yet at the time, ugly, and said she looked like a gorilla. Yeah, none of that matters because she said, "My bad," and supports Bernie Sanders. She's never made a public apology and still has videos bashing queer kid stuff and body positivity up on her channel, which to me says, well, she doesn't feel nearly bad enough about it to stop using it for views and traffic. So, there's that.
Pat them on the head and tell them their shitty ad views are totally okay, as long as it's just a joke, bruh.
They say, why should we want them on the left? The reason you need them on the left is because, well, at least in America, they're the
No.
population.
Wait, do you not watch my content? I'm sorry, like, I'm pretty sure I've debunked, and I've covered The Quartering. I think I've covered Hunter Avalone. I've covered Lauren Southern. I've covered Blair White, an insane amount.
Now, I've covered, Dave Rubin, I've covered Ben Shapiro, I've covered Bearing, I've covered Sargon, I've covered quite a few, I've covered Chris Reagan, I've covered Roaming Millennial, I've covered, what's her name, Christina Hoff Summers? No, she's the lady from the fucking PragerU War on Boys video. I've covered a shit ton of the people in this image, and when I do it, I'm not nice. I'm not nice when I cover these people. I'm not polite. I don't give them a pat on the head and say, it's okay, and just, let them run off. I don't do that.
And you currently suck up to Hunter Avalone despite his weak at best apologies. And congratulations, you made videos calling out a handful of those scummy people. You still suck up to Shoonhead. That's what I'm talking about.
Video, it's all, holy shit, I experienced the same thing. I was in the same place. I was just like you. Those are the comments I see on Verity Speaks.
True.
Video about that. So it's very clear that this edginess is important.
And again, it's kind of shitty to make this all about appealing to the kids. It's the same kind of...
I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, I know you're, like, showing these images of, like, young people
being cool with... And yes, I do think that bigotry is taught. I'm gonna be completely honest. Bigotry is taught. Most of the time, I feel like kids are probably going to be a bit more accepting, but you have to realize that everybody is a subject to their environment. The places where they grow up, their parents, the school that they went to, the people that they're friends with, everyone is the product of the environment they grew up in. A kid can only be a blank slate on these issues for so long. And if the most popular social media site for young people in the world, YouTube, is fucking consumed by reactionaries, they're everywhere. They got their, Crowder with his big fucking shows, David Rubin, like, all these large figures are unbelievably well funded. They're unbelievably promoted by the algorithm. Like, how often, even if you aren't interested in it, how often do you get like clips of Joe Rogan and his podcast recommended? How often do Steven Crowder videos get recommended to you? How often do fucking Dave Rubin videos get recommended to you? PewDiePie videos. And PewDiePie may not be like a political channel, but he's probably a reactionary. I mean, as far as we can tell from his history. I mean, like, if no matter where you go, young people are going to be encountering this kind of shit. It doesn't matter how, as a blank slate, how accepting kids are of LGBT people and whatnot. They're going to get indoctrinated by the right. It's everywhere. It's inescapable for them. Young people need to be appealed to by the left. The left needs to appeal to young people, even the young edgy boys.
And you keep cutting me off and continue responding to points I'm not actually making. You continually cut me off and respond to the images I use, not my words. For fuck's sake, my guy. Kids don't live on YouTube, especially not with these new COPPA guidelines that are going around. Kids are influenced by social media, sure, but they're directly affected by things that go on outside of it in their everyday lives. And like I said in my original video, there are young people who will be hearing your messages outside of white gamer bros. That just is what it is.
I get him.
D-bags who pretend that the reason they don't like kids learning about LGBT people is just out of fear for them. Guess what? Just like some kids come out as gay or trans, some kids really hate hearing ableist slurs. Some trans and non-binary teens want spaces where they don't have to deal with true scum rhetoric and apologia, therefore. Some non-white teens don't find racist jokes all that funny and would rather not be made to feel like you're in the wrong for that. You want to appeal to young people.
Okay. Why are you strawmanning my entire argument? When I say the left needs to appeal to young people, I'm not saying that we need to say the N-word all the time and make racist jokes to...
And here comes the projection. You did nothing but strawman my arguments throughout this entire video. You're the one claiming we need to excuse rhetoric that has the potential to make marginalized people feel unsafe in progressive spaces to ostensibly appeal to young people. I don't know about you, but I'd rather not create a space where young people of color, non-binary folks, disabled folks, and other marginalized people feel unsafe just to appease some edgy gamer bros. Call me a woke schooled all you like, but I just think that's counterproductive.
I'm sorry, but young people aren't attracted to that kind of shit. You can slip the good rhetoric in, but you have to wrap it the right way. It's why so many young people, it's why so many liberals in 2016 ended up defending Richard Spencer, a literal fucking neo-Nazi. They defended him because they weren't able to recognize that he's literally a fucking neo-Nazi because he took white nationalist rhetoric and he wrapped it up in a nice little bow. He packaged it in a way that appeared palatable and respectable. I'm sorry, but if you can't package leftism in a way that appears palatable and respectable, people aren't going to be receptive to it. I'm really sorry. Hey, thanks for the $10.
By the way, this part of his video really pissed me off.
Let's talk about Sinatra Says. He's a smaller anti-SJW YouTuber, but still has a healthy amount of subs. A couple of years ago, prior to my permaban from Twitter, Sinatra PM'd me, he asking to come onto his channel to debate race realism. My answer was, hell no, and I explained why as follows. Paraphrasing. Race realism is pseudoscience, and I'm not going to dignify it with a debate, as doing so would be as much a waste of my time as debating some anti-vaxxer or Holocaust denier. I don't believe...
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but, like, this is the people like you are the reason why the left failed so hard in 2016. In terms of, like, this, like, the social, like, why do you think that so many people, why do you think that so many people fell down the alt-right rabbit hole in 2016? It's because the online left was completely unwilling to engage. It's because the online left was unwilling and unable to debate and back up their points. They would not engage with these growing popular ideologies. No matter how much of a pseudoscience and how stupid race realism may be, it doesn't matter how dumb race realism is if it's starting to be a really popular idea among a lot of people. Flat Earth is fucking ridiculous. It's stupid. However, there are a lot of people who are falling for Flat Earth. So we need to take it seriously. Simple as that. I don't care if it's fucking pseudoscience or if it's garbage. It's getting popular, needs to be argued against. People like you in 2016 were unwilling to do it, and that's why the left failed so fucking hard online in 2016.
You know what? No. You don't get to pull this card on me. I, a black person, am under no obligation to entertain every dipshit who wants to debate whether or not the amount of melanin in my skin somehow makes me genetically inferior. Let me tell you something, Xander Hall, Pig Puncher, or whatever the fuck you're calling yourself these days. I don't owe anyone a debate about my existence. I don't need to coddle everyone who wants a platform to push their bullshit. I'm not going to debate whether I, as a black person, am a subspecies of human, whether my non-binary identity is valid without surgery, or whether or not I'm better off living as autistic rather than having died of measles in infancy. And frankly, if you think that makes me part of the problem, feel free to suck my invisible dick.
Don't dignify them with debates. This is literally the reason why the right is able to like get away with the shit that they say. Why people like Ben Shapiro are so popular. They're like, huh, the left is unwilling to debate because they
substantiate their beliefs. No, listen, if you aren't able to debate, if you are someone who is unable to think on your toes, and you aren't someone who can argue against the rhetoric of reactionaries, I understand. You don't have to be. You don't have to do that. You could be someone like ContraPoints, or someone like PhilosophyTube, who doesn't do live debate, who doesn't do the debate stuff. They just make educational content. That is completely fine. We need people like that. There's a reason why ContraPoints is so popular. However, there's a reason why me, and Vosh, and Destiny are so popular. Because we break the mold. We engage with these people. And we don't just engage with them, but I would argue we engage with them responsibly and effectively. We don't just platform their beliefs. We demolish them. We debunk them. Live. I'm sorry, but if you want to see how effective this has been for yourself, I encourage you, whether you're watching this right now, Phoenix Rising, or any of her fans, or anyone who thinks this way, I encourage you to go to Faraday Speaks' video on how he fell out of the alt-right rabbit hole. I encourage you to go to my video as well, because I made one recently, just hit 100,000 views. Go to the comments. Scroll down. I know how many comments there are that say this, because I read all my comments. At how many people who say, oh my god, it's scary how similar your story is to mine. Destiny also got me out of the alt-right rabbit hole. He was so different from all the lefties that the alt-righters that I watched showed me, or the reactionaries and anti-SJWs I watched showed me. He broke the stereotype. He broke the mold. You and Vosh do the same thing. I love your content. So on and so on. I get these comments every day. I get these emails every day. I get these messages in my Discord every day. And I'm not saying this to jack myself off and say, oh, I'm so special. I'm so great. I'm so awesome. I'm not saying it for that. I'm saying that because this is a good point.
Then he goes on a self-indulgent rant about how my view of this isn't helpful and how popular he, Contra, Vosh, ad nauseum are, and blah, blah, blah. Who gives a rat's ass? I wasn't planning to respond to this video at all, but upon watching the entire thing, I just realized, okay, for one thing, I'm being attacked. For another thing, this is just a perfect example of every problem with RedTube, as it were. And it's just a clear line in the sand that it's all about popularity. It's all about being the king of the hill. It's not about any kind of real solidarity. Well, if you leave it with anything, friends, let it be this. Praxis is more important than theory. And if you'd like to check out my new page, I'll link to it below. If you have a mutual aid need you'd like me to share, get more eyes on it, please feel free to PM me via my public Facebook page. That's all for this video, and as always, peace, love, and stay hydrated. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.